One of the toughest and sometimes most challenging conversations you can have with your kids centers around the death of a loved one. And that is why our next guest, Tracy Sievers, penned the book Home Runs in Heaven. It was inspired by helping her son deal with the passing of his infant brother. And this eloquently written book helps little ones really grasp the concept of heaven. Hi, Tracy.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This is such an important topic, such a difficult topic.
Yes.
To discuss with your little ones who are really trying to understand what happens when someone dies.
Right.
And so you went through your own heartbreaking loss. How many years ago?
It's been a little over 6 years.
And you lost your baby.
Our son, he was 5 months old, and he had an undiagnosed heart defect. So it was very fast. We didn't know anything
Very
was wrong.
out of the blue.
Very out of the
sudden.
blue, yes.
And so his brother was how old?
Just about 2.
Okay. I can't imagine the questions and how difficult that must have been for you while you're still grieving deeply, but having to kind of hold it together and explain in a very understandable way to your son. So how did that conversation go down? Right.
Well, I think he didn't even really understand what happened. He just knew that his brother was gone, and that in itself broke our hearts, because how do you it's just a hard thing to talk about.
Because he has to feel the loss.
Right. He knew he wasn't there, but that was all he understood. And he didn't know he wasn't coming back. And so I just started to talk to him about that, Nash is in heaven, and I would say that, but okay, well, when's he coming here? He still didn't understand.
Yeah, because at 2, you haven't really had the opportunity to even discuss much about spirituality.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not even 2, and I'm trying to explain this. And so I would talk about how heaven was perfect, and he kind of understood that. And then I would try to put it back to him on kids' terms, so things that he liked. And he's always been a huge baseball fan, and so it started with that. Well, you get to play baseball there all day long.
All the time.
So it was, things like that, or you can eat candy and you never get cavities. So it was little things like that that I would say to him, and he would at least understand, okay, it's a good place, my brother's happy, he's having fun, and so that's how I would describe it to him. And
you saw him processing that
start to understand.
And I'm sure that's when the light bulb went on for you, like, wait, this is good. Like, other parents need to know how to have this
I thought, well, if I'm having, obviously for us it was, my son, but, little kids are losing loved ones all the time. And how do you explain this to them? I know that parents are struggling with the same thing that we did. And so I thought, well, maybe I could just write it down. And so I made this list of these kid things that I thought maybe kids would understand, and I put them into a book. I did it probably just like maybe 3 months after Nash passed away.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's talk about the book, Home Runs in Heaven, and how you went from just writing down these ideas to actually having the money to print a book and distribute a book. How did all that happen?
Well, it started off about a year after I wrote it. I thought, okay, I need to do something with it. And I wasn't sure how to start. And I'm a teacher. I don't know anything about publishing books. And so I kind of sent it out the old-fashioned way to people, and I started to feel like I can't handle rejection with something that's this close to me, with something so personal. I actually had a publisher out in Ohio who kind of nibbled at it, and it was, I think, it was around 2010, and it was a really small publishing company, and within a couple months of him starting to do some illustrations for it, the company went under. And I thought, okay, I don't want to do that like this anymore. And so I started to look into self-publishing routes.
Yeah, because you can't deal with a disappointment.
It's just so personal. And I didn't write it to be a bestseller. I wrote it to help other people. And so I thought, okay, well, maybe I could do self-publishing. And I looked into it, and it's very expensive. And I thought, oh, I don't know about that. I don't know how I would do that. So last year, on what would have been Nash's 6th birthday, I sent out an email to close family and friends, and because I had found this website called pubslush.com, and it's a crowdfunding site, but just for books. And I thought, well, maybe if I could get, say, $5,000, maybe I could self-publish it, and if I didn't get it all, I could come up with the rest. That would be fine, but at least get something
into the hands of
parents, to get it out there. So I sent out an email on his birthday last January, and I had 30 days to raise the $5,000. And by the time the 30 days was over, I had over $13,000.
Wow.
And so I spent the next probably 6 to 8 months going through the process. I used CreateSpace, which is Amazon's self-publisher. And they were great. And it's when you self-publish, it's nice because you have all the rights to it, and you get to do it the way you want to do it. And so we went through editing and the whole big process. My brother.
That must have been such a validation for you.
It was
you
great.
Raised the money like that
yes.
because people were going, we really want this book to be made.
I have the most amazing friends and family and just strangers that heard about it and donated money. Yeah. And my brother and his wife, Trent and Kara Smith, are illustrators and
that's
they're
what
artists.
I was going to ask you about because some of the illustrations are just so sweet.
Yes, and that's actually a photograph of my oldest son, who's now 8.
Oh,
from
that's
playing
cute.
baseball. He still loves baseball.
To be able to find somebody who can illustrate in the same space as your story,
right.
To give the same feeling of your story, and the fact that they were family.
Exactly. It was so personal to them as well.
And so it makes you know that it was meant to be.
Right, exactly. And so they did such a great job, and so they illustrated it. We got it all together, and then right before Thanksgiving, last Thanksgiving, it was done. And so it's on Amazon now, and it's
so
ready
what
to
now?
be out
So
there.
how is it doing? And tell me the response that you're getting from
I'm getting great responses. I've had so many people, friends and family, of course, are buying it and using it, which is the best thing. I just want it out there because if I struggled with this, if our family had so much trouble trying to explain this to kids, we have 2 more kids since Nash passed away, and they're now 5 and 3. And they ask, well, what's he doing? What do you think he's doing? And so it's a perfect conversation starter for them as well. And the response has been great.
So, people are going to be asking you, okay, so obviously you figured out how to have these difficult conversations with kids. You have a lot of difficult conversations still to have with your children as the years go on. Will you write another one?
I would like to. It's a long process, and I think it would be fun. I think now that I've done it, I have something to fall back on. I know kind of routes to take. So, I'm
much easier the second time around.
Exactly.
Thank you so much for being here and for
sharing this with us. Thank you so much for having me.
I love your story behind the story, how you took this tragedy in your life and you turned it into a way to help other families that are dealing with the same thing. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
You can pick up a copy of Home Runs in Heaven on Amazon.com. What's the price on it?
I think it's just over $8 right now on sale.
Perfect. What a perfect gift to give someone who's going through a tough time. Okay, up next we are celebrating National Margarita Day, a little early with help from Milagro Tequila. Stay with us.